Thursday. The influx of tourists for the holiday season is a great concern to authorities. Our reporter Vanessa Poonah, senior reporter, is standing by in Cape Town live with the Premier himself. Vanessa, thank you for joining us. I think straight off the bat, the question a lot of people are speaking of, what has been called super spreader, Plet, Rage 2020. The Premier must also be concerned.
Yes, good afternoon to you, and indeed it is something that the Premier would of course be concerned about, super spread events that we've seen at this point in time. The Western Cape having recorded some over 12,000 new infections, and this of course part of Premier Alan Winde's concern as the festive season gets underway, to make sure that all the health and safety protocols, whether it's here at the Cape Town International Airport, whether it's at business places or tourist hubs, are indeed adhered to. And you'll know that the Premier has been at pains to ask each and every citizen and tourist visitor to Cape Town, the Western Cape, to please ensure that they follow those protocols. The most important one is wearing a mask, and that's of course covering the nose and mouth, sanitizing and maintaining social distancing. Now today the Premier has actually made a visit to the Cape Town International Airport. He's come through the international, or rather the arrivals terminal. He's made his way throughout the airport, looking at various safety aspects, as well as some new technology that will improve the health and safety protocols here at the airport. I'm going to speak to him now. Premier, very warm good afternoon to you. First things first, Premier, you've just had a rapid COVID test here at the isolation room. Just tell us a bit about what you've seen this airport indeed has put into place. As we see already visiting here today, we've seen the numbers of people, passengers increase over the past few months. What have you noticed on this visit here today?
Thank you. Yeah, so obviously we need to make sure that we can welcome people here for the summer season. We do welcome people. We need to know that they're going to be safe when they come. We need them to come and be part of our solution. So they must also understand that when they do come, there are certain protocols that they need to follow. So we're just out having a look at what is it like at the airport, what have they done, this award-winning airport, and they haven't let us down. When you arrive, if you were leaving via this airport at domestic, you don't have to stop and get someone to take your temperature. It's all electronic. The technology is in place. You can walk through. If you are picked up with a temperature, then you will be pulled off. You will be had a check to see, what was the reason. You would be tested a second time. So those kind of processes are all in place. The same thing here. We're at departures right now at international. You have the same technology, and of course there's also Port Health. They've set up here, so that's what I've just done. I've actually gone myself for a rapid test. So we've got a 15-minute rapid test to test positivity of COVID-19. These are all checks and balances. These are specifically for people who are flying into the country. If by any chance you've missed getting your test, which is required before you come to South Africa, on your way in, then we can double check that you are COVID negative. And so, of course, right behind me there's Port Health doing a great job as well. All integrated as part of the airport, making sure that the messaging. So when you arrive, it doesn't matter whether you're coming from domestic or international, you've got all the protocols in place. There are monitors that are walking around, COVID-19 monitors, to help you along your way, so that we touch as little as possible. We have all got our masks, and the messaging is there. So when you arrive, you get the message, you can feel it. And that's my message as well. We've got to make sure we want to get the economy back up and running. This is a new normal, but at the same time, we've got to make sure that citizens play their role. Whether you're a visitor or you live here, you've got to play your role.
Premier, we've heard from AXA's General Manager here, Dion Kluter, earlier saying that domestic travel has actually seen quite an increase, something that is quite good from the economy's point of view. And also new international airlines coming on board as well. For the economy, for the aviation sector, this is crucial, but there are concerns about the resurgence of COVID-19 in certain areas. I know the Cape Metro is one of them. I think the figures are something over 5,000 active cases at the moment, and then also along the Garden route. So, Premier, I know you have your three-pronged approach. Can you just reiterate what exactly that will mean in terms of enforcing the level 1 restrictions?
Okay, so our three-prong approach is, number one, we've got to protect our health service. We've got to make sure that they can cope. Have we got enough oxygen? Have we got enough PPE? Are our frontline workers ready and able? Do we have beds in place? We've kept, we did close down the CDRCC Hospital of Hope, but all of our other extra hospital beds that we put in the field hospitals are all still in place. So have we got the health response? And the answer is yes. Then the second prong of the three-prong approach is about behavioural change. We need everyone to play their part. We really don't want to be closed down again. What we want citizens to use that freedom to make sure that we're enabling the economy to open. That means responsibility. Freedom comes with responsibility. It means every single one of us, mask up. We've got to make sure we use the hand sanitizers. We've got to make sure about the social distancing. We all know what to do. Avoid those crowded areas. Make sure that if you are in a closed room, there's ventilation, there's not too many people, etc. We know what to do. We've got to make sure the behavioral change is in place. But then we will also, on the third sphere of the plan, we will also come in with law enforcement. So they have already started a week ago. Law enforcement going out, places of congestion. When complaints come in about a business that's not adhering to the rules, law enforcement moves in to make sure that we are flattening this curve.
Premier, just the health minister was on a visit here at the weekend to some of the nightclubs in Khayelitsha and in Greenpoint. One of those businesses were found to not actually adhere to those protocols. Now, that is very important, Premier, with the festive season, tourists coming, people flocking to places like this. Surely a harsh punishment, if one can call it that, for companies and businesses who don't adhere, specifically in the tourism sector.
Correct. So we'll be discussing that at Cabinet tomorrow again. I've also asked the President for harsher protocols within the lockdown regulation, within the disaster declaration. And they obviously have said they'll look at that. But from our side, a business like that, we will also have a look at what are those consequences. Do we remove your license? Do we remove your liquor license? What are those consequences? And of course, post that visit, also having a look at the time span of those consequences. It needs to be short and sharp because people must understand. We're serious about this. We've got to make sure that people follow the rules because it is in the interests of our economy. And so that's exactly why. That's exactly why we are specifically calling on people to play their part. You're welcome. Please come and enjoy summer with us here in the southern tip of Africa. It's the most beautiful place to be, but you must come here and you play your part as well.
Thank you very much for speaking to me, Premier Alan Winde, visiting the Cape Town International Airport today as the festive season kicks off and those domestic as well as international travellers start making their way to the fairest Cape. And of course, just checking to see whether all the health protocols are in place. Once again, the Premier appealing to visitors to indeed come to the Western Cape and to enjoy Cape Town and what the province has to offer, but making a very valid point that it's each and everybody's responsibility to do so safely and to make sure that they're protecting not just themselves but those around them.
Vanessa, before I let you go, hopefully the Premier has not gone too far. December the 1st, we normally see Adelaide Street where the festival lights are switched on. There's open-air cinemas, there's music concert, there's picnics in the winelands, the Cape Minstrels. What does Cape Town offer now when all those things are going to be shut down or limited?
Yes, you're quite right. The switching on of the festive lights this year was indeed a much more low-key event than usual. Usually we have people, thousands of people flocking to the city centre, to Adelaide Street. This year, the Cape Town Mayor, Dan Plato, did the switch on with just a few people. And of course, big events such as the annual Tweede Nuwe Jaar Minstrel Parade has been put on hold till at least the 16th of June next year. This, of course, due to concerns around the large crowds. And if you've ever been to one of those events, or you've watched it on television, you'll know that it's quite impossible to maintain social distancing at big events such as that. But what the Premier's just made mention of once again is that to keep the economy open, to keep the wine estates open, to make sure that everybody is safe when they visit the many Cape Town beaches, world-class blue flag beaches that we have along our coastline, it is important that each and everybody can still come out and enjoy themselves. Most of the restaurants, places such as bars, etc., will still be operational. Of course, this pending what happens with the rise in COVID infections over the next week or so. But at this point, those who are COVID-19 compliant are allowed to operate. But the key factor here and the key question to each and every person is, are you doing your bit to prevent transmission as well as infection of COVID-19? And each and everybody plays their role, not just here in Cape Town or the Western Cape. I'm sure that this festive season may be a bit different, but could still be an enjoyable one for each and everybody.
SABC News senior reporter Vanessa Poonah, as well as video journalist Trevor Pistorius. Thank you very much to the two of you for joining us. Thank you very much. Great, insightful comment there coming from you from Cape Town.